Okay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamanav Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yathajnasyasi Tachruno. So he's saying now, so we finished the Dhyana Yoga, right? Where he explained how to do Dhyana, etc. And then he's also said in that particular whole chapter 6, Arjuna asked Krishna, what will happen? How do I control the mind? Then he says, Abhyasena tu kaunteya, Vairagyena grihyatam. So by Abhyasa and Vairagya, you can obtain this particular state of Samatvam, Sthita Prajna. That state can be obtained. And then he also asks, what if I'm not able to be successful? If I become a yoga bhrashta, if I'm not able to be successful in this lifetime, what will happen, oh Krishna? திரும்ப முதல் பரோட்டாலேருந்து ஆரம்பிக்கணுமா?
சூரி மாதிரி
சூரி
செல்லாது முதல்ல இருந்து போடுங்க.
I want to start from the first parota.
ஸ்ரீகிருஷ்ணர் பயந்திருப்பாரு, 6 சாப்டர் முடிஞ்சு போச்சு, இப்ப திருப்பி பஸ்ல
திருப்ப ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல இருந்து. So Arjuna's worry was that, will I have to start from there? And then Krishna says, no, you can start from wherever you left off, because there is a cosmic meter, a cosmic monitor that is there, which monitors your progress. Okay, but honestly, the cosmic monitor is not outside, it is in our sukshma, in the sukshma and the karana sharira, within whatever we are the conglomerate of, it has an impression of what we are. So as we said, we essentially try to make the process is right now from the state where we are, which is I believe that I am the body, I believe I am the mind, I believe I am an individual. From this established understanding, my understanding should move to I am part of the whole, or I am one with the whole of creation. I am one with the Supreme Brahman, right? I am that particular conscious principle that is existing. All of this has to become my established understanding, right? So the established understanding should shift from this to that. And that happens in phases, in stages, progressively, right? You progressively transform yourself. Okay. In fact, nowadays, this whole, I work with banking technologies. So there is this concept of progressive modernization and the idea of fail fast, which means you try smaller things, you try quicker things, and you understand if it's working or not, and then you move on to see if it's working, not working, and then you move on to something that works, and you keep doing that, and you progressively transform the whole banking, the bank technology, the bank platform, the bank processes, etc., right? So like that, transformation also happens progressively. It's not like a switch on a certain day you turn on everything and then suddenly you'll wake up realized. It will not happen that way. Realization, understanding, jnanam dawns upon us progressively. The transformation, inner transformation happens progressively. But the point is, there are times still where it goes and comes back, comes back. But then after a certain point where we have matured a little bit in our inner transformation, it will go to a certain point where it doesn't come back. It's like the snake and ladders, for example. So there are places where you go, and then after that, you will not have a possibility of falling down, right? So like that, there are stages where you go, after which there is no, in fact, even in, what is that? The Kaun Banega Karodpati, they play this, right? After you get 1 lakh or 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs, you kind of freeze the amount. And he's saying whether the next answer, whether you give right or wrong, you will still walk away this winning prize.
அந்த ஆன்சர் சொல்லவே மாட்டா யாரும், போறோம்ன்றவா.
இல்ல, இல்ல, People
Because
do
if the
take that
other is
chance.
Supparna, they'll lose whatever they've
Correct,
gotten so
correct.
far.
But people do take that chance, right? So this way, there are stages we achieve in our life, in our sadhana, where we come to a point where you can't fall down too much. That is A, because of the efforts of the sadhana phala, and also grace. Like my guru's guru would say, the more effort that you put in sadhana, proportionate amount of grace you will be receiving. So that keeps happening. So progressively you transform. The inner transformation happens in a progressive way. And during that process, you come to a certain stage, and then you become, your second nature becomes, the way to see the world becomes like that. How? It becomes that whenever you see the world, you see that you're part of the larger puzzle. You're part of the larger puzzle, or you are part of this whole creation. You exist as this consciousness, whether you're awake, asleep, dreaming, whatever. All of this understanding, you don't have to now keep telling yourself. It becomes your second nature. The way you interact with people, the way you transact with the world itself, naturally becomes like that. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. At whatever point you become a yoga bhrashta, which means you drop at certain point in your life journey. That is where you pick up from. You'll pick it up from there. There is no real loss of sadhana or effort that you have put. So this is all that happens in this previous chapter, and then he comes here and he
மகோதய் இதுல
says,
ஒரு I have a question. So இப்போ நம்ம இந்த யோகிஸ்ட் எல்லாம் போறச்ச I mean they are able to give us that highest level of energy இல்லையா? I mean if they would like to, we don't really have to go through all the intermittent stages. We can directly get that bliss இல்லையா?
no. So that still happens depending on your preparedness.
The grace, அதான் அந்த grace இருந்ததுன்னா.
So for example, like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gave it to Vivekananda. Okay, he just touched his head or kicked on his chest, something he did, and then suddenly he went into a complete state of bliss. For 3 days, he went into samadhi. But that is because his mind and somewhere there was a certain level of practice that he had done, which had brought him to a certain stage of being able to receive that. Right? Now, if we have not prepared ourselves, and if the guru kicks us on our chest, what will we do? We'll go and apply pain balm. இப்படி உதச்சிட்டாரு அப்படின்னு சொல்லி தான் நம்ம விவசாயே கிடையாது அந்த மனுஷனுக்கு. இப்படி ஒருத்தன் உதப்பான
Ramanar வந்து I think he picked up in between and the whole thing came back.
Correct. Absolutely. He also had this death experience because it was something, he was ripe. He was ripe to some extent. That being ripe is something that is our effort. We may remember it from the past, we may not remember it, but the extent to that which you are ripe within, it puts you, and life's experience gives you this. Whatever life experiences that you go through, that understanding automatically dawns upon us. And for each one, it happens at different stages. Some people, you need life experiences several times the same experience to understand. For some people, maybe 2 times, 3 times, it's good enough to understand. But several people, you need 5, 10, 15 times the same thing, and then you realize, ayyo, porumpa. So it differs from different people. ABCD is definitely there. But then where you start off with that ABCD, maybe when you're born like Kalidasa, you may be able to, we're going to talk about Shamala Dandagam tomorrow. You can start off, and then Kali's grace, she opens, or whatever blessing comes and immediately flows through you. Right? The same ABCD. Or you're sitting there and you're starting to write ABCD. Wherever you are, it depends on how much you've accumulated. And you pick up that and you run from there. So here he says, Maya Saktatmanaf Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah. So which means he says Mad Ashrayah. Mad Ashraya means you come, surrender yourself to me. So this, in the last shloka of the previous verse and the first shloka of this verse, it is almost kind of a transit. It is a movement into bhakti. He talks about bhakti here. In the previous verse also, or rather in the previous the 47th verse, if you notice, he says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha, which means the one who is of Shraddhavan bhajate yomam, one who sings my glories or worships me. He attains to that. He is considered to be the highest, according to me. So here he continues there and he says, Maya saktatmana, asaktamanaha. The mind is, um, uh, it is on me. It is attached to me. It is attached to me, and then it has taken refuge in me. Mad ashraya, asamshayam, without any doubt, completely. Then you shall know that this is the truth. So he is trying to explain that for you to recognize or realize the truth, you surrender yourself in faith. Okay. So he is requesting, see, slowly he is starting to request faith from Arjuna. Because a lot of times this is what happens, right? A lot of times we may not be able to really understand the truth, that which is explained. We may not be able to understand because it is something that we are not familiar with on a day-to-day basis. The truths that we are familiar with on a day-to-day basis is transactional truths. There is a Paramatma, you are a Jivatma. The Paramatma is taking care of everything. It is the creator, sustainer, destroyer. The Paramatma pervades all of creation. You don't experience this on a daily basis. Somebody is saying, you're listening to it. Right? That is why he says, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. The one who takes Shraddha, like in Satya, I mean, in Sai Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba, on either sides, it's written Shraddha and Saburi. Shraddha is, it's loosely translated as faith, but it is faith with a certain amount of reverence. It's not blind faith. It is not blind faith. One second. That's not blind faith. It is faith with a certain reverence and also faith with a certain freedom to ask right questions in the with the intention of sincere seeking. I want to know. That sincere seeking, pariprashnena sevaya. Correct. So that sincere seeking needs to draw that questioning. But then that questioning is that I think there will be a response that will facilitate or benefit me. That is Shraddha. So he says, have that Shraddha, asamshayam, without any doubt, you follow or you surrender yourself to me, and then you will be able to receive this knowledge. Right? And this is true even in our daily transactions. If you go to a teacher, how do we go? Any teacher we go for that matter, right? Any subject we pick up, we want to learn, we go to the teacher. We have a certain Shraddha in the teacher, right? ஏதோ தெரிஞ்சுதான் பேசுறா, something he knows, he or she knows they are talking about. And if I go in that attitude of sincerity, of learning, of receiving, then knowledge automatically flows. Right? A lot of times, there's a beautiful example I heard one particular professor had given. He said, when the calf comes, a yearning calf for milk, then the cow automatically has the milk flow from the udder. Right? The milk flows automatically from the udder when the calf comes with that yearning. எனக்கு இது வேணும் அப்படின்னு தேடிட்டு வரச்சே அந்த மாட்டோட இதுலேருந்து from its udder the milk will flow. Till that, where is the milk? It's there. But when the calf comes, the milk automatically flows, right? Now, this is what happens in terms of receiving. Whether a guru is great or not is only determined by how sincere the student is. How much can you draw from that is the process. So there we make ourselves receiving, and he says, Asamshayam samagram mam yatha jnasyasi tachruno. Listen to me, O Arjuna. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshami asheshatah. So I shall tell you without any secrets, without hiding anything.
Any residue.
Any residue, without hiding anything, keeping anything back. I'm not going to hold any information now from you. Yeah, I'm going to give you all this knowledge. Yajnatva yat jnatva, that knowing which, neha bhuyan yat, you will know that there is nothing else to be known. So I'll give you that knowledge by which, knowing which, nothing else is required to be known. Which means you will know, once you know this, you have this understanding, which is, now you can look at it in multiple ways, right? You can, and which is why Bhagavad Gita lends itself to a lot of interpretations. Different people have interpreted it differently. Even masters, different gurus and acharyas and masters have interpreted it differently. Okay? Shankaracharya has interpreted it in a way. Sant Jnaneshwar, he has interpreted it. You have Madhvacharya interpreted it, Ramanujacharya has interpreted it. So many different saints have written. Even Gandhi has written a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. So it offers you to look at it in the way you want to look at it. So like, for example, he's saying, knowing this, knowing what? Knowing that Krishna alone is the Supreme Lord. That is one. Or you say that consciousness which is all pervading is the same consciousness inside me. That is one way of looking at it. Or you say that this Krishna that is talking, or maybe this Krishna is just referring to Narayana, who is the Supreme Lord, or is referring to Sadashiva, who is the Supreme Lord, or Parashakti is the Supreme Lord. But whatever it is, I am a part of it. I am an amsha. I am an amsha of it. Or I contain the same essence of all of this that everybody is talking about, all masters are talking about. The same essence is within me. In whichever way we want to see, this particular knowledge or this particular understanding, Kalima, wait a second. I'm just losing charge. Just give me one moment. See, this is the same way. Again, running out of charge, we plug ourselves into, we plug the device into the central power system, whatever, right? It's in the same way, when you know that this power, the system or the source of power is inside me, then you don't need to run for charge outside. You don't need to look for a cable or a charging point or anything outside, right? How beautiful it is. And gurus are teaching that. They're saying that this charging station, this power point is actually within. All you have to do is turn your attention and you will find that source of power within. So he says, I will teach you this. Knowing this, once you know this, there's nothing else to be known. All else that you want to know is transactional for the world. You need to engage with the world, you do things you need to do. You need to gain skills, you need to, any kind of things that you want to interact with the world is a skill. And you can gain any skill. That is irrelevant. Now, if there are people who will say that, knowing this, I have known everything means, now suddenly will I be able to understand nuclear physics, or will I be able to speak German or French? No, it's not that. Knowing this, you will know everything means it's not that you will know everything that is there in this transactional world. No. You may know certain, because everything in the transactional world is essentially a skill. And there is no end to developing skill. Right? Can I run on all my fours like a monkey does? Not be able to. It's a skill I have to develop. I may be able to, I may not be, but it's a skill I have to develop. Right? Will I be able to, again, people think that once I know this and I will be able to see the future or read everybody's minds. All of these are actually skills. We are not talking about skills or supernatural powers. No, we are not talking about any of that. We are talking about fundamental understanding of our true nature, knowing which you can always develop any of these skills. Some faculties will open up depending on what method you follow. Some faculties may open up, but that is not the objective. Yes, Mama.
சார் பரமாச்சாரி நிறைய பேர் சொல்லியிருக்காரு. பரமாச்சாரி வந்து தெர்மோடைனமிக்ஸ் பத்தியும் நியூக்ளியர் ஃபியூஷன் பத்தி தான் நிறைய பேசுவாங்க.
Amma. He will, in fact, he will also be able to communicate in several languages.
Exactly.
Correct. But the thing is, those are see, like Nochur Swami very beautifully says, there are countless people who attain to realization. Countless people. You don't even know. But then there are tsunamis. Okay. So there are waves and there are tsunamis. There are many countless waves that attain to the ocean. But then there are tsunamis. So says Ramana Maharishi, Mahaperiyava, all these names, Trilanga Swami, Ananda Mahima, all of these names we hear are tsunamis. They come to create a big impact on society. So a lot of them are endowed with several of these faculties. They're like, in fact, Mahaperiyava was known to be a Shatavadani. Shatavadani, or I don't know, something like that, right? There are 100 things you can remember at a given point in time. It's a particular skill that people develop and also do that. But he was very comfortable in that because those faculties just opened up in him. Why was it required? Because the world required somebody to have those miraculous powers, only then I'll follow him. If you're just like me, and you say you realize and you don't exhibit some of these, then I won't follow you. So such people come in the world as tsunamis, as big influencers, and they display some extraordinary capabilities to draw your attention. Like, for example, my guru sings. You've heard the way he sings the bhajans and all that. It's so soulful. Now, did he learn that from anywhere? No. It just outpours from him. His voice, the way he composes and sings, it's complete outpouring. Now, why was that required for him? Somebody tries to mimic him, which means if I'm realized, I should be able to sing beautifully. No, not necessarily. For this particular person, this was required. This skill got enhanced because that was required to draw a certain set of people. See, we always get drawn to someone, most of us drawn to someone not because of simplicity, because of extraordinariness. Natural. We get drawn to someone because of their extraordinary. So then I get drawn. Oh, there must be something beautiful, something great. And then we listen to them. Only then you get some amount of reverence, respect. We should listen to them because they're displaying certain level of extraordinariness in their in their transaction, in the world, in the way they are. But it's not something that they worked on to build. It's just that some faculties open up. So for different people, different faculties open up. Right? So, but that is not the objective. So if we are like Mama Sharma, if as a Shishya of Mahaperiyava, if we try to become a Shatavadani, your objective is lost.
Right? Having known the highest knowledge is that we don't need to know anything, is the self-realization now.
Correct.
Self-realization, I probably assume that is the highest knowledge, after which you don't need to know anything else.
So the need to know, correct.
அதான் need to know தான் அது.
The need to know doesn't arise. After that, there is no seeking.
அதான் knowing கிடையாதுங்க.
Correct.
There's no more knowing.
Only knowledge.
Knowledge. No. What is the highest thing? It's self-realization. That's finished.
Perfect.
I think that's what it means. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. What exists there is only knowledge. The seeking, so when the seeking stops, of course, seeking is required because only then you go towards that. But when seeking stops and the knowing, the knowledge is there, then there is no further need for seeking. So all of these Mahan, whoever we see, have come to that point. But then some faculties have opened within them and they exhibit some of these extraordinary faculties. But one important thing is, like the important thing that Krishna is saying is, knowing this, you shall know everything, doesn't suddenly make you supernatural. You will see Trailanga Swami, for example, lived for 300 years in Kashi. He walked on water. People have recorded that in early morning Brahma Muhurta time, people have seen him walk on Ganga and come back. It's recorded. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has seen Trailanga Swami. Vivekananda has seen him. Several Mahan saints, great saints have seen Trailanga Swami. He's lived for 300 over years. Even Jnanananda Giri is known to have lived for about 200 plus years, 170 to 200 years. Now, they have lived for a long time, but Ramana Maharshi died in 75. Does it make him any lesser this thing? Or it's not measured by that capability. This Trailanga Swami was able to walk on water, but Ramana Maharshi did not even get up from his, move away from Tiruvannamalai, his place. Again, the Nagara kuda illa. Right? So, but what happens is a lot of these faculties open up for different people, not for their own need. It is for the purpose of the people who come around, to give them some faith, to give them some thing to look up to, so that they learn what is required. Like for example, we do this with a child, right? It's basically like a carrot or a chocolate. You show a chocolate to a child, you attract the child, but your objective is not for the child to eat chocolate. Your objective for the child is to get something else done. You want the child to listen to you, to do something so that it's good for it. So in the same way, each guru or each master, some faculties open up within them, so that such people, or whatever, to people which that particular trait feels attractive, they get attracted. But then the objective is not to gain that trait or that extraordinary power. The objective is Atma Jnanam, self-realization, to attain the realization, which is why you notice no guru and Sishya are exactly the same. Even Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Swami Vivekananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, you see Lahari Masaya and Paramahansa Yogananda, Mahavtara Baba and Lahari Masaya. So many Guru Sishya Parampara you see. Sivananda, my Guru Shantananda, or Chinmayananda. Everybody is very different. Tapovanji Maharaj, Chinmayananda. The Gurus and the Sishyas are very different in the way they operate and transact and how they offer. The same message, the same idea, the same philosophy, the same concept of realizing the self, but they deliver it in so many different ways. Right? So he says, learning this, O Arjuna, there is nothing else that will remain for you to learn. Means you will not have that seeking any further, because you will feel content. Yes, I have understood it. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. This is a very beautiful shloka. Yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tatvatah. So he says, amongst thousands of people, sahasreshu, one person seeks knowledge, seeks understanding. Amongst the thousands of people who seek knowledge and understanding, one really knows me. Right? So basically, he is showing that it doesn't matter, or rather, it shows, sorry, it's not, it doesn't matter. It shows that a person who's on the path of self knowledge is already unique. See, even if we go to a satsang, there are 100 people sitting or 1,000 people sitting. Think we are 1,000 amongst 8.3 crore, 8.3 billion people in the world. Or even if we are 100,000 people, we're just a minuscule number as compared to 8.3 billion people. So what he's saying is this need to seek perfection. Perfection means to understand the truth. Move away from the transactional nature of things, go deeper inside, question, interrogate, inquire. Who am I? What is this world? What am I living? What am I doing? What is my purpose? All of these questions that come, not many people even get these questions, right? We see around us how many people are actually sincerely questioning this. Even if they do, they probably question only when it is time for them to drop and go. Right? Many people only start questioning much later in life. The questioning that occurs when there is this questioning that occurs within us, you look around, you'll see a lot of people are still trying to figure out their purpose in life. You still see people are struggling. What is happiness? How can I be happy? He is bothering me. He is not allowing me to do this. I don't know what my life's purpose is. I've lived like this. Where is it going? A lot of people are just struggling to get it right on a daily basis, right? How many people just sit down and think, okay, let me take a step back and think about what truly needs to be achieved? What is it that I need to really look for? Because a lot of times even what we are wanting to look for as a goal is not very clear. So he's saying that number of people who are even trying to seek are very few. And amongst that, those who are seeking, very few are able to get to me, right? Then he says, Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankara itiyam me bhinna prakriti rashtadha. So there are 8 components starting from the grossest, the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, space, and then the subtler elements, which is mind, intellect, ego, mana, buddhi, ahankara. They are 8 components of my prakriti or the creation. And then he says, apareyam, apareyam itaствanyam prakritim vidhi me param. So I am beyond this prakriti. Jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. Which means this is the energy that is created in the world, but this consciousness that is there is beyond this. So just to quickly summarize the last two, the 4th and the 5th shloka, it says that the created world, even your ahankara. So if you look at the way the pancha koshas are formed, annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, anandamaya kosha. There are 5 layers within ourselves, starting from the physical to the subtlest. So the physical is earth, water, fire, air, space. Then you have the mind, manaha. Then you have the intellect, vijnana. Then ahankara. So all of these are still in the realm of creation. Consciousness is beyond that. Atma is beyond that. That which is the witness, Sakshi, is beyond all of creation, because the Sakshi, as a witness, when you sit down and look, you can perceive all of this. You can perceive earth, water, fire, air, space. You can perceive your mind. You can perceive your intelligence. You can also perceive your ahankara. You can sit down when you close your eyes and you meditate. Not meditate, just observe. You can observe all of this. Who is this? This is observing. That he says is apareyam. I am the apara iyam. So I am this thing that I am existing, or this particular the presence that I am as Krishna, or this consciousness is beyond all these eight, because all these eight are part of Prakriti. Prakriti Ashtadha. Okay? So he's giving a perspective of saying, use this to see that this consciousness that is existing is beyond all of this material creation, and that is where you rest your mind in. Right? So this is the first 5 shlokas of chapter 7. Okay. Om kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanayati samarpayami sadashivayati samarpayami jagadambikayati samarpayami sadgurunathayati samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namaha.
உங்களோட நீங்க புரிஞ்சுக்க மாட்டீங்க.
Hari Om.